Alright guys, figured I'd make a quick video, waiting for some parts to get done, and figured I'd make a quick video about Quadrajet sizing. This time of year, we do a ton of Quadrajets here, probably close to 50 a week. In any case, we get calls from local race car guys and that race some of the stock classes, and everybody's curious about, they want a big Quadrajet, and how to tell the differences, and what's better, and what I should buy, that type of thing, whether they should buy from a local builder, whether they should buy something across the country, whatever. In any case, I figured I'd show you guys a quick difference. There's only two sizes when it comes to Quadrajets. Guys will tell you different. They'll tell you they build them 900 CFMs, 1000 CFMs, and there's 600 CFM ones. There isn't. There's two sizes. There's a 750 and an 800, and that's it. All right, that's straight out of Rochester that way, and I'm going to show you the difference right now. All right. If you're looking at it, you're looking down the barrels like this. I'm going to take the casting apart just so you can see it. So, in other words, you're looking down it like this. Put down the air horn. When you look down the barrels of a 750, if you could see this cast ring inside the carburetor, okay, it goes completely around, and you can see the approximate diameter of it as I'm videoing it. It's uniform all around. That's a 750. I'm going to show you the inside of an 800. Again, you're looking down the air horn. Notice the size of the ring is reduced, almost not there. All right, all the way around. What you do have in an 800 CFM one is right here, you have a small protrusion in the casting. It's referred to as a bump. That's what makes it an 800. You just have that small bump and almost no casting ring around the inner diameter of the bore. So you're looking at an 800 right now, and now you're looking at a 750. All right? Those are your two sizes. Don't let guys tell you different. There's no such thing. And as far as modified carburetors, when it comes to a Quadrajet, keep a few things in mind, guys. Rochester spent a long time engineering these carbs. They started out in '66. They went all the way into the late '80s. All right. They got better every year before they became a computerized carburetor, which was, certainly doesn't apply to performance applications. In any case, guys will tell you that they get in there, they grind this to get the airflow up. Every one that I have ever seen, yeah, maybe they get the airflow up, but the problem is they change the signal to these boosters. And when they change the signal to the boosters, the carburetor never works right. Okay? So don't believe them if they tell you they're in there grinding. There's different calibrations that can be done, and that's what changes this carburetor, which Rochester used on, a 307, actually a 301 Pontiac, all the way up to, a 500-inch Cadillac. They used essentially the same casting. They just calibrated it different. And, to a lot of guys, unless you're getting in here and you're modifying the calibration, i.e. in the jets and idle wells, and unless you're modifying that, it doesn't enhance the performance. It probably takes away from it. The difference you're feeling between one carburetor and another is just that they're calibrated different from the factory for a different application. So, keep that in mind. I recently read something online where a guy was selling a You know, he bought a stage 3 jet carburetor, which is a good carburetor. There's nothing wrong with it, as long as you require a stage 3 jet carburetor. Well, when he got it, it ran terrible, and I've heard this before too. You know, I just can't get it to run on my car. And yeah, he brought it to a local carburetor shop, and after spending $500, he spent another $300 to have it sorted out and, you know, recalibrated. And the reality is, you know, more than likely what that carburetor shop did, because that's what I've done to every, you know, jet stage 3 carburetor that I've opened up, I've detuned it. And the reason why is because these carbs came on, you know, 450 horsepower cars. You don't really have to go looking for modifications to get them to perform on high horsepower applications. But if you take a jet stage 3 or anybody's race, you know, carburetor that's made for a 450 and 500 horsepower application, it's not going to run good on your 320 horse application. It's just the way it is. It's not made for that. Nothing wrong with the carburetor. Just not calibrated for what you needed it for. So, you know, keep that in mind. Keep some other things in mind. Again, these carburetors came stock on 300 horsepower motors and 420 horsepower motors, you know, right out of GM. So if you're interested in getting one that might work, you think, you know, you're making 375 horsepower, go looking for one that started life on, you know, a 455 Buick or, you know, 500 cubic inch Caddy. Those things turned out 400 horsepower or better, you know, from the factory. And, you know, your mom drove it to work every morning, ran great. So it's going to work good for you in almost stock form. You know, a couple other things to look for that I happen to like when it comes to if you're gonna build it for a race application. I happen to like the later carburetors from the mid 70s. I try to get the 800 when I can, but I have no problem using the 750 on a small block car, because a small block car doing 6,600 RPM doesn't use all those CFMs. It's mathematics. It's just not going to use it. So I have no problem using the 750, but you got to set it up to work with you know, a wild camshaft, and you have to do those modifications to it. You don't have to make the carburetor any bigger. Keep those things in mind. Try and get one that was closely matched to, you know, what your goal is, what your horsepower goal is. Again, I like the later ones. I like the later ones because right here, there's normally a cap here. See it right there. We thread this. It'll have a threaded in plug. And there's an adjustment in there for part throttle. So the earlier ones have it, but it's not as accessible and not as easily tunable. This is a more tunable carburetor the later they got. The other thing to look for in the big inch carburetors is right there in the top, in the air horn. That small hole you see there. What that hole does is when the secondaries transition, it gives a small shot of fuel back into the primaries, almost like an accelerator pump. It richens it. It gets rid of a lean stumble that these carburetors are known to have. It helps get rid of it if your motor wants it. So I happen to like this carb. This is a carb that I always try to grab when I see them available. In any case, I look for them to have those extra, you know, secondary shot of fuel that goes into the primary. They all will have that same function on the secondary side. All right. So this is something you'll see on the big inch ones. And if you look at this one, notice not live in the casting, no hole. All right. Still has them on the secondary side. Just just like the other one, and it's usually adequate. And there's ways of tuning it to work if it doesn't have the extra shot of fuel. But if you can find that one, it's good to have. Again, I like grabbing them off big inch GM cars. Something to avoid is the earlier one if you can. You know, the early ones, again, the castings weren't as good. They're older. And the way to spot them, these have more screws holding the carburetor together. All right, here, all around here. The earlier casting doesn't. It's more square in the front. Actually have another one right here. I'll show you. A lot of guys still use this one, but it doesn't have the part throttle adjustments. It's not as tunable or as easily tunable. All right? So try to look for a few of those things. But remember, 750s and 800s. Don't let some guy across the country tell you a $600 carburetor is a 900. He's lying.